Hello. So today I want to talk to you about being unhappy with the pricing that you're receiving with your propane from your propane provider. And this is specifically geared towards when you are using their tanks. So if you own your own tank, this isn't going to be super helpful to you. But keep an eye out because in the future I will be doing a video about pricing and getting the best price in regards to that. But anyways, so you are using the company's tank. You just feel like the price is too much. It's not working out financially. Your neighbor's paying this. You just feel you're not being respected as a customer. So you are, as you probably already know, stuck with that company as long as you have their tanks. They are the only ones that can fill those tanks legally. The only way that you can have different companies fill your tanks is when you own them. You have ownership of them. So most of the time, people are using their supplier's tanks. So if you don't know the answer to that question, like, do I own these tanks or does the company? That would probably be a good thing to find out, because it does drastically change how we do things in the propane pricing world. So switching propane companies in the winter or peak season is not ideal. And also, how do you know that this won't happen to you again when you switch companies? Possibly you thought the company that you're with now was going to treat you well, and now you're not so happy. So before you hurry up and just jump ship, I have some recommendations of what you can do to get the best price and to just get a good understanding. Propane is unlike anything else I know. It's weird and it doesn't make sense. So, it's not like you go to the store and here's a dozen eggs, that this is the price. Okay, propane is a different price for everybody. It's a different price where you live. It's a different price from your neighbor. It's a different price based on so many different things. So it's just really important for your best interest in pricing to just get your head on and get your facts straight. So in order to deal with this pricing situation, you're going to have to talk to your propane company. And I know from experience, people become very heated and feel very strongly. When they feel like they're being taken advantage of, or their company's robbing them, or whatever the reason. And but my recommendation to you, to the best of your ability, remember that you're dealing with a human being on the other end of the line. And since they're a human being, they have, all the emotions and feelings you do and human capabilities, at least they should, that you have. So, just heart to heart, explain to them the situation. This is expensive, and I'm struggling making ends meet, or I feel like I might be being overcharged, and just use kindness, display grace, and if you don't get a nice person, call again until you do. And just because the person that you talk to can really help you. Chances are they know some inside stuff about how things work, and they can help you. They don't have to be the enemy, even though maybe they work for who we presume to be the enemy. It doesn't mean that they necessarily are the enemy. Okay, so I feel like people are generally empathetic about these situations, because when I worked in this industry and I talked to people, I understood, what they were saying. I understood about expenses and, the cost of heating my home and the importance of having a good value. I understood all of that, and I understood why that was important, and I understood how people could feel, and I always tried to help them to the best of my ability. So, in order to handle this situation properly, you need information. First, you need to know how much propane you use. Now, if you don't know this yourself, you're going to have to talk to the company and, try to find out, what did you use over your last season? What did you use, this season? What is your yearly average? Just get some facts, get this usage, because usage is huge in propane. When you're comparing other companies or when you're trying to get the best price. You also need to know what other fees there are. So a company may be charging you a yearly rental fee and you don't even know it. It's just you pay it. A company may only charge you a rental fee if you use under a certain amount. You need to know that. They very likely are charging you some different delivery fees under a slew of names. The companies all have different names for these fees, and some of them really dislike when you say delivery fee because it's not a delivery fee. It's a fuel recovery fee, or it's a hazardous materials fee, or what else do they call them? Whatever they call them. It's an additional fee tacked onto the price of propane, okay? You need to know what that is, because essentially that's part of the price per gallon. They like to separate it and kind of confuse you a little bit, but you need to know that, okay? You need to take that into account, into your calculations. You also need to understand the propane company's pricing. Different propane companies price differently. Some price based on your usage alone. If you use propane for cooking, it's this. If you use propane for this, for 2 things, it's this. If you use it for 3 things, it's this. Some propane companies charge based on usage. If you use under 100 gallons a year, this is the price. If you use between 200 and 400, this is the price. If you use over 400, this is the price. So you just need to know. Do they charge based on how much of a delivery you take at a time? They can charge any way they want. Like, they make the rules, okay? They do what they want. If you've ever had natural gas before, natural gas has to tell you, oh, here it says next month the rate is increasing to this, and this is the current price. And propane doesn't have to do that. The companies can charge whatever they want. They can charge you one price one week, another price the next week. They're not regulated as natural gas is regulated. And how they sell their propane is their own prerogative, how they base their pricing tier. So you need to understand that. Now, with that being said, I have witnessed, let me think here, how'd this work? I worked for a company that was bought out. No, I worked for a company that bought out a smaller company at one time. And that smaller company based their prices on usage, like what you used it for. So if you only used it for cooking, you paid this price. If you used, propane for 2 appliances, you paid this price. And very commonly, what I discovered when I was going through records and working on transitioning files and customers and things is a lot of times customers added uses. Maybe they added a furnace, or they added a water heater, and so they had more uses, but they were still being charged the price from years ago when they established service for the uses that they indicated. And so sometimes they were being overcharged. So it's important to understand the pricing tier, and where you fit into that. Are you fitting in where they say you're supposed to be fitting in? You may think there's computer programs. There's computer programs for these things. Yes, there are. But I will tell you, many times there are issues. Many times there are glitches. Another common situation with pricing along these lines is if we're talking about usage and you use X amount of gallons a year, this is your price. Well, maybe people have multiple accounts and the accounts aren't properly linked together. So they're using a lot, but here they're using a little and here they're using a little. But when you combine them all together, the price should be at a different tier. So important to know. Also, ask about discounts. Every company I have ever worked for or had knowledge of with a like a takeover or a buyout, every single company has offered a discount. I have seen discounts for early payment. I have seen discounts for senior citizens, military, being on a budget plan, having automatic delivery. So many discounts. So ask about the discounts. Do you offer discounts? Do I have any discounts on my account? Ask. Glancing at my notes here. Another thing to ask about. Now this I feel like is so seldom known in the propane world. You want to ask about pricing programs. Okay. Now, typically, I will say these are typically begun like summer, late summer is when you typically become involved in one of these programs. But ask about it. Find out if they have it. Find out what it is. If you had been on it, maybe they would allow you on it, But ask about pricing programs. What I'm talking about is pre-buys, price locks, and price caps. Now, different places may use different names because we love to create our own authentic term. But the moral of the story or the term is the same. So a pre-buy, you pre-purchase X amount of gallons at a lower price. Generally, this is summer. You're buying it for less because the demand is down. So you're pre-purchasing it. You're paying a small fee to participate in the pre-buy, which covers the storage of these X amount of gallons. And then as the winter goes on, you just kind of subtract off of your pre-purchased gallons. At the end of the season, unused gallons would go back onto your account as a dollar figure. Okay, so that's one program, a pre-buy. Another program is a price lock. So you pay a fee. There's almost always a fee involved. You pay a fee and your price is locked in. Now you can expect this to be a little higher than the low price of the summer, but it's just to kind of give you that security. So your price is locked in. That's what it is. It's that price all year. And that just helps with budgeting and, knowing what your expenses are going to be. So also not a bad idea. And then a price cap. So a price cap, you pay your fee to participate. The price is capped at a certain dollar amount. So your price will be whatever it is until it gets to that price cap. And then your price will not go higher than the price cap. It's just a security. So that's another option. Now, there have been years when the prices in the off-peak are not the lowest, but typically they are. And typically these types of programs can save you some money. Another thing that's important to talk about when you are talking on the phone with your provider and you've found your nice answering customer service agent, ask them about matching competitors' prices. as long as it's not an introductory offer. Now that's important because propane companies are known for giving this like fantastic first fill price. Okay, we're not talking about that. Some companies even do special introductory pricing for a whole year. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the price that you would be paying if you were with them for 5 or 6 years and you fit into wherever you fit into on their pricing scale, however they did their pricing scale. Ask your company if they would match that price. You will often find they will, because nobody wins if your provider doesn't win and you don't win when you have to switch companies. It's a nuisance, it's a hassle. They lose money, okay? And it's a pain for you too. So they should want to keep you. If a competitor is legitimately charging a reduced amount for the same, the same usage, then that is a very fair request. And you may find that they may entertain that idea. So ask that. I have worked for companies who specifically advertise they match competitors' pricing. They will match prices. Other companies are not so open to the idea, but ask. Now, after you have all this information, you need to, kind of take a look. Has anything occurred to lower your price? Could you still lock in your price? Or are there discounts? Would they be willing to match a competitor's price? Are you paying an excess in delivery charges because you're getting deliveries more frequently than you actually need to? All these things, is that what's elevating your price? All these things. Just take it all into account. If you're calling other companies, get their information, get who you spoke to, get the amount based on the usage, get their discounts, get their delivery fees, get all the details from them too. Take good notes. And then call back and ask to speak to the same person that you spoke to. And if they can't do anything, ask if they feel if their manager would be able to help you in a kind way. Not in a way like, I'm trying to get you in trouble because I don't like you, but in a kind way. Do you think your manager would be able to help me? And maybe they will. There are times when the customer service agents do not have the authority to do things that a manager does. So that's a possibility. The bottom line is the company should not want to lose your business, and they should be willing to help work out a situation that is agreeable to both sides. So I hope that this video has helped you. If you do end up having to jump ship, check out my other video about switching propane companies and what you need to know. Have a great day.